Hi, welcome to the screencast for the last environmental partner quiz covering sections 16.5 to 16.8. So question number 1 says, one method to provide drinking water from seawater is reverse osmosis, which uses a semi-permeable or partially permeable membrane. So outline the terms osmosis and partially permeable membrane. So osmosis is the movement of solvent, which generally is water, in this case would be water because it's seawater, from the more dilute side of the membrane to the more concentrated area of the solution. So water is going to go from where there's less salt, where it's less salty, to where it's more salty in order to strike a balance. Partially permeable membrane means that the solvent or water can pass through it, but the salt or solute cannot. Explain the technique of reverse osmosis. It's exactly what it sounds like. Instead of water going from where the salt is less concentrated to where it's more concentrated, high pressure is used. It has to be higher than the osmotic pressure, obviously. But high pressure is used to force the seawater across the membrane from the more concentrated area to the less concentrated area, and then that leaves the salt behind. Number 2, explain what is meant by biological oxygen demand and compare the expected values for water that is pure and water that contains organic waste. So BOD is the amount of O2 needed to decompose the organic matter in a water sample in a specific amount of time and at a specific temperature. So pure water would be expected to have a very low BOD level, very low oxygen demand because there's not much organic matter in there to be dealt with. Whereas water with organic waste is going to have a higher BOD. Wastewater and sewage undergo primary, secondary, and tertiary stages. One of these stages includes the idea of activated sludge, and 2 features or characteristics that allow for removal of impurities. This removes primarily organic material, so aeration, adding oxygen to be used in the breakdown, decomposition, and then bacteria or microbes to actually carry out the decomposition. Identify one major source of phosphate in wastewater. The big contributor is detergents or laundry soap. State the type of reaction used to remove lead and phosphate ions from wastewater. They're both used with precipitation because the ions are free, so you need to find an insoluble precipitate that you can get to form from it. So with lead, it's H2S, and it forms PBS and hydrogen ions, so it makes your water slightly acidic, but it removes the lead. And PO4, they add aluminum to it, is the easy one because it just combines 1 to 1. Otherwise, you can also add calcium and form Ca3PO4 too. Radioactive waste, low-level and high-level waste. Describe the materials present and the methods used for storage and disposal. So low-level waste, the source is typically medical, hospital clothing. It can be fuel containers. It can be also considered low-level waste. High-level waste typically comes from nuclear reactors, so spent fuel rods, or from the military. And then the methods used for storage, for both of them, you use cooling ponds. And then for low-level waste, after it has become safe in a cooling pond, it can be disposed of in still containers in concrete. Otherwise, for the high-level waste, it's cooled somewhat, and then it's encased in glass, and then surrounded by steel and concrete. And then the ultimate goal is to bury it in a remote location because it'll be thousands of years before the high-level waste is safe to be out of those containers. And then the last one, discuss salinization and nutrient depletion. Apparently I got tired making my key. But salinization is just what it sounds like. It's saline or salt. So it's salt left behind from continual irrigation. And this is considered a source of soil depletion because it will either dehydrate plants or just outright kill plants. So they either die because of the dehydration due to the salt in there, or if the salt levels are high enough, the salt itself is toxic and kills the plants. Nutrient depletion occurs when crops are harvested and nothing is left behind to return nutrients to the soil. So this is a result of crops harvested and not rotating crops, using legumes, different beans to help restore the soil, fertilizer, compost, that type of thing. You're going to have nutrient depletion then. And that's it for the final quiz on 16.5 to 16.8.